Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Great to be with you on the show today. I'm sure we'll all be subjected to some level of soccer conversation,
of course. But I want to give
for no apparent reason.
A special shout out has to be brought up first, though, Steve. Today is someone special's birthday.
Joe Putnam.
We both know this man, Joe Putnam, the voice you hear inside Beaver Stadium, the voice alongside you for the State College Spikes, for the Penn State Lady Lions, and he does everything. So
and the new play-by-play voice of the Lady Lion basketball team.
There we go. Mr. Joe Putnam, everyone's favorite guy. We love Joe. We love Joe here. And Joe is also part of my trivia team, which Steve will still not join. He refuses on principle, which hurts my heart. But
we don't have time to be on your trivia team.
That hurts me. Joe makes time to be on the trivia team.
Yeah, but I've got a few other things. I got a few things to do.
But don't you want to win a trivia title with the greatest team on turf?
I already did that a long time ago.
Ow. It hurts. That hurts. Something we didn't touch on yesterday, Penn State captains. Wanted to ask you about the captains who made it, how you're feeling going into this season, and what they represent, I guess, for Penn State as well. Because I think captain's a big thing.
Look, it's a great honor. Without question, it's a great honor because you're forever known as a captain of the team. And Dom DeLuca's in his second year, and Riley Thompson, who, by the way, has 2 years remaining.
He's got time.
I mean, they petitioned the NCAA, and he's actually a junior. And in the off season, I said to Chuck Losey, I said, it looks like you could take a vehicle and toss it over a hedge. He's the most powerfully built punter I've seen in the country.
Not bad.
And he's had a great preseason. Kobe King. It's interesting. Everything here is up the middle, if you notice. Yeah. You build football defenses the same way you build baseball defenses. Catcher, second, short, center field. You build your defense up the middle.
It's called the spine of the team. Every sport, if you don't have a spine to your team, it will not function.
So here are the captains on defense. Middle linebacker, Kobe King, who will have the green dot. And safety, KJ Winston, up the middle. Interesting. Offense, same story, up the middle. Nick Dawkins, Drew Aller.
There we go. Yeah, it makes sense. Like, there's a reason that they are the captains, because they are the leaders in the team, but they're also a part of the most important piece of the team, the cog of the team, that you need them. Now, you need these guys in these places.
But are there other people that are leaders?
Of course.
And of course, all right, Devon J. Thomas is a leader. I'm seeing more leadership out of Abdul Carter this year than I ever thought I would see.
That's good.
No, it's really good. I mean, I think Cam Miller's a leader. Julian Fleming is a leader. I'm seeing more leadership out of certain guys. And you don't have to be a senior to be a leader. That's the other part, too, that is one of the misnomers in all this. Because you start looking, for example, at I think a guy as a freshman, among the freshman group that could be a leader is Cooper Cousins. Right? I'm talking about among the freshman group. You're looking at that. I mean, among the young guys, I think he has a chance to be a real leader. Ethan Grunkemeyer has a chance to be a real leader.
When you are built like a leader, it just is there. It doesn't matter if you're young, if you're old.
Right.
Age doesn't matter.
But you have to have leadership in classes.
Yes.
Okay? We talk about the captains. Okay, captains I totally get. Right? And they're older and so forth. All right? But you're also looking for leaders. Who are the leaders in the sophomore class? Who are the leaders in the freshman class? I mean, some the guys that you can see Even though they may not be the number one guy at their position, you can see people naturally gravitate toward, especially within the class. So I just brought up a couple names like that.
My favorite leader in all of sports, Udonis Haslem. Was he the best guy on the NBA roster of Miami Heat? No. He was guy number 15, but he was their leader. And you followed him. When he said jump, you said how high.
Well, he started for the Heat.
He started for the Heat a little bit.
When they won their 2 titles.
In the back half of his career, he didn't start, but he was there. He was their leader. James Johnson with the Pacers. Like these guys who they are there to be leaders. And that's what they do. Doesn't matter if you're the star, if you're the quarterback. If you are a leader, you are a leader. And that's how it works.
Quarterbacks being named
across the country. Everyone's getting named.
Oh, and Will Howard, Ohio State, Miller Moss at USC. But Caton Hauser, for example, former 4-star prospect, transferred from Michigan State to East Carolina, was beaten out by Jake Garcia at East Carolina. And then
I believe we're going to name the same guy here.
Boise State.
Maddox Madsen.
He gets the job, and Malachi doesn't.
Pulling it up before you even said it. I knew where this was going.
I was listening to somebody saying, I feel badly for these kids. They try. Look, no offense, but you made that decision. It doesn't mean it's automatic. It's going to happen for you. You have to win it. Now, we're not sitting there in the Boise State camp, so we don't know. Madsen, for all we know, and everything they graded out was the best guy.
Yeah.
All right. They say, well, we feel awful for this kid. Well, part of his problem, I am going to guess, is that when he was at USC, and he was as highly recruited as any.
He was the number 1 prospect in the nation in 2023. Right? That's where he was.
But he tore his labrum. Now, what did that do or not do to him having to bounce back from that? Did it do anything to his throwing motion? Did it do anything to, how aggressive he is? I don't know. I don't know the kid at all.
We don't know. Like when you get hurt, you lose confidence, and it is a whole thing to get back to your pre-injury self. That's why it's discussed in the pros of you hurt yourself. It is not just I'll be back in 3 months with a brand new knee and totally fine to go. It takes your brain trusting the rest of your body because there is a natural fear of I'm going to hurt that again and this is going to be a bigger issue.
Right, and we don't know.
Yeah.
Because I've never been around him in my life. I've never been around him in my life. But someone's like, oh, I feel bad for these kids. He chose to leave.
Yeah.
Miller Moss chose to stay. Well, in choosing to stay, he ended up getting the job. Okay. Each made a choice. Worked out for one, didn't work out for the other. Okay. The grass sometimes is greener on the other side. As we've seen with Joe Burrow, the grass was greener for him at LSU.
Jalen Hurts.
Okay. Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner. The grass was greener for him at LSU as compared to Arizona State. Where at Arizona State, I thought he was a really good quarterback. All right. Caleb Williams just fouled Lincoln Riley. Yeah. That was just...
Jalen Hurts was at Alabama, was starting guy. Tua took over. He said, I'm going to leave. The grass is greener at Oklahoma.
But he waited, though.
Yeah.
He did not leave right away. And when they needed him in the SEC championship game against Georgia when Tua got hurt, he came off the bench, and he is a big reason why they won. But he got his degree at Alabama.
Yeah.
He got his degree. And he transferred as a grad transfer. I have no problem at all with the grad transfer part. You fulfilled all of your obligations, and the university filled their obligations to you.
Yeah.
So everybody's fine. But guys transfer. But now here's the other part. The grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
You've got an opening game here between Georgia Tech and Florida State coming up on Saturday in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Haynes King, I believe he was at Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
He's Georgia Tech's quarterback, by the way, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And DJ Uyunglele is now at his third school. Clemson, top recruit, the whole thing didn't work. Goes to Oregon State. He was okay at Oregon. Yeah, he was good at Oregon State. I wouldn't call his time the 1 year in Corvallis as bad.
Serviceable.
He played well. But now he's going to go to Florida State. And so he's on his third school. Okay. It's interesting. Dylan Gabriel, for example, was very good at UCF, was very good at Oklahoma. Now he's considered a leading Heisman candidate in his first year at Oregon.
Yeah.
Bo Nix needed to get out of Auburn. He did.
Yeah.
I mean, legacy, the pressure on him, everything like that. He played much better at Auburn than people realize.
Yeah.
Because obviously we saw him here. Then went to Oregon and flourished. Okay. So grass greener for him. Michael Penix, grass was greener at Washington, but also paired up. He was having success in Indiana with Kalen DeBoer as his coordinator.
Yeah. So he followed him.
So he followed him. Grass ended up being greener. But there's some guys it's just not that way.
Yeah.
And you've got guys all over the place trying to. I mean, Hauser's not the only Michigan quarterback. I mean, the other kid, Peyton Locke, whatever his name is, he ended up transferring down to Auburn. And no, it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
And we can feel badly that it didn't work out, but I don't feel badly about the decision because the kid made it himself or was forced to make it by somebody. Yeah. And that's, I don't know. It's
anyone who expects players to go and automatically just win everything and be the best, like it's not everything is sunshine and rainbows all the time.
Oh, it's more than that. I mean, there is a segment. Oh, it didn't work out. That we should do something for him. Like what? Or they entered the draft and then didn't get drafted.
Yeah.
Oh, they should be allowed to go back to school. No, you made the decision. Okay. Okay. Let's now transition to adulthood here. I left my job. I hate my new job. I want to go back. No offense, we filled your job.
Yeah.
Okay, that's called real life. Okay? That's real life. I left my job without having another job. I still don't have a job. I want to go back and reclaim my job. No, we filled it. Well, I opted for the NBA draft. I opted for the NFL draft. I didn't get drafted. I want to go back. We already filled your job. Okay? That's why I hear stuff like this. It's like, I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense. It's not real life. In real life, you leave the job for some odd reason, they fill it.
Couldn't imagine why.
Right? For some weird reason, after a couple months, we did fill the job. Well,
I would have thought.
Same thing in this. You opted to leave. In other words, you're off my list. Okay, we gave your name to the Alumni Association, hoping that you will donate.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay. Right? Hey, I hear stuff like that. I'm like going, what's wrong with you people? That's not real life. It's not real life.
No.
Doesn't mean you can't maybe go back because they have a spot, but no. Okay, here's one. They didn't tell you to leave to go to the draft. Right? You got a draft grade, and I'm willing to guess.
Let's guess.
As a strong guess that the draft grade was stay in school.
Yes.
And you didn't. Really?
Yeah. And the NCAA has to its credit, provided flexibility now, where players, especially we see it in college basketball, they go through the process.
Well,
they get graded.
The NCAA does not do that. That's the NBA's rule.
The NBA's rule.
The NBA's rule is not a good rule. It is a great rule.
So the shout out to the NBA then, where they now allow you to basically get graded, and then you can say, do I want to stay in? Do I not? Do I want to leave? What do I want to do? Where you see players who get grades of mid-second rounds, and they say, I'm going to stay at school. I'm going to come back for another season, get better, and then go in. It works. It's good.
Or they end up being told, hey, look, or here's the starting point. We're going to send you to the G League Combine.
Yeah.
That's a tip-off right away. But they give you the flexibility. I think it's 2.5 to 3 weeks before the draft, which is the
cutoff window.
I think it's 3 weeks.
That sounds right.
Where the cutoff is 3 weeks before the draft, where you can pull your name out and go back to school.
Yeah.
See, the NFL, because of the calendar, the NFL needs to have more flexibility with that. Now, it does get complicated with the number of, and it may change because of the 105-man roster limit. Maybe you can get more flexibility. But the NFL needs to change its rule about declaring for the draft and staying in the draft.
Yeah.
I think you should be allowed to go through the combine and through your pro day. And on April, let's make it real. Instead of going April Fool's Day, let's go March 31st.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's pull back one day, make it easy.
Let's go March 31. And you should be allowed to pull your name out and join your team in spring practice.
I agree.
I mean, you should be allowed to do that. Now, the NFL needs to do that. The NFL needs to do that.
The question is, will they? That's
it's something. It's already in the basic agreement, and the job of the Players Association is to take care of the current rank and file. That was always my complaint about what they used to do between the NBA and the NFL. They were putting in all these rules about, like, the NBA was the big one. We want to go to 18-year-olds. That's what they said originally. We want to go back to 18-year-olds. And and I kept saying over and over again, wait a minute, your job is to take care of the current rank and file, not the future rank and file. They're gonna join you anyway. Okay, they're gonna join you anyway. Well, they heard from the current rank and file when they went through the last deal a year ago, and they said, well, what are you doing?
They said no.
Because guess what? For all those guys that you're taking in, somebody's losing a job in your current rank and file. Somebody's losing a job.
It's not only is someone losing a job, but we so often, I feel like there's such a, people are like, oh, but I want to see these 18-year-olds just come right in the league because they look so good in high school. The problem is, in high school, they're being guarded by me, and in the NBA, they're being guarded by Drew Holiday. There is just a slight difference there in terms of everything. He's better than me at basketball in every single way. Like, you are going up big time in level. It's always been discussed. Jump from high school to college is a monumental leap. The jump from college to the pros is like jumping from planet to planet.
Well, Bill O'Brien said it's a chasm. That's what he told me.
It is an incredibly large jump. And we keep seeing it with players who come in the league, and it takes them a year or two to get their bodies into a shape where they can really compete. Even a guy like a Desmond Bain, who came in like a tank, a unit. His body's he's been built up more. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's better at what he does now. And we've seen it over the last year or so where he all of a sudden has been in the league for 3-4 years. And he's now ready to go. And he's a good product now. But you see it all the time with guys who come in.
Well, I'll give you an old time one, Jermaine O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal came in, and this was always the Portland Trailblazers were the ones that really brought this up, and they said, you know what, why do we have to be the ones that have to basically develop the guy, and then when he becomes a free agent, he goes someplace else and thrives? When he went to Indiana, he actually played really well.
He was awesome.
But he was an 18-year-old. He was one of those 18-year-olds that came out that for 3 years did nothing. Then he went free agent. I think he was with Portland for 4 years. And Portland was like, excuse me, we put all this work into him, and then he leaves, and we had to put up with the mediocrity of it because he wasn't ready to play.
Yeah.
I know it's shocking, but he worked on his body, worked on his game, and became a productive, not a great, but a productive NBA player. And so, but the NFL, needs to change their rules. Now, will they? No. Because this basic agreement runs through, 2032, I think. 2031, I think 31 it runs. And it barely passed the last time. The average, Peter King told me that the average per team the vote was 32-30 in favor. That's nothing.
The vote,
that's 60 votes.
The vote runs through 2030.
2030.
To be exact.
Okay. So they've got labor peace right now, and the area that they need to negotiate is going to be the area of the 18th game, not the draft.
Oh, yeah.
But they need to discuss the draft, and they need to take a look at what the NBA has done. They need to give, in order to get a better product, you need to give flexibility, especially with marginal prospects, that if they went back to college, they can become a better prospect for you.
That's what we see. That's the NBA, and the reason we're so on this, because you see it all the time. Guys go through the process, they're graded in that low second round slot, or they're graded in the 20s. Well, and they hear, if you go back, you develop for one more season and improve on what you just showed us, like, you have a chance to be a really good player.
Zach Edey.
We want to see you develop your inside-out game. We want to see you develop your ability to block shots, to rebound, to pass well. If you are these guys in the NFL, if you're a wide receiver, how many are drafted every season? Hundreds. It is just like every other pick seems to be a receiver. But we see so many not with the complete skill set they need to play in the NFL, because it takes hard work and understanding to get to the point where you need to play. And then if you go back for one more season, maybe it's, I need to see you develop your footwork better. And what if they come back and their footwork is incredible and they already were a third rounder and they get drafted in the second? All of a sudden, they have a real shot to do something in the NFL. And it helps the college game. It helps the pro game. It helps everyone involved.
Now here's the next part, though. How smart would some people be about making sure they're staying in school as they're going through the process? See, with the NBA, a lot of this process occurs right when the semester is ending. Right? So you can easily transition from school to the process where now I go to the combine in Chicago in May. I get individual workouts in May. What am I not doing in May?
School.
You don't have to be in school in May. And so the calendar works. You'd have to have players in the NFL that would still maintain their eligibility. Now maybe they can do it through video classes.
Yeah.
They can do that. They can do it through World Campus. All right, they could. But they'd have to stick with it to make sure they still had the option to come back. But they should be able to declare after the national championship game, they should be allowed to go through the combine. They should be allowed to go through their pro day in March. And then by March 31st, they should be able to declare whether they're keeping their name in the draft or not.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, still gives them one full month of school to finish up the semester.
Yeah.
Okay. And that way they have, it's going to be better for college teams. And it's going to be better for pro teams. And it's going to be also best for the player.
Yes, because they are going to go into the pros with, if they go through that process, with a better understanding of what they need to improve on, where they're good, where they're weak, what the pro system is going to look like, and then they can go back and develop it, and so on and so forth. And it'll start a churn where you'll see better players coming in. They'll see a better college game because players will stay an extra year versus leaving a year early, where you see a guy leave a junior year, and you'd rather of him have stayed that senior year, develop more,
right,
and be great.
No question.
For Syracuse, Oronde Gadsden is an incredible player. He was our wide receiver. He's now moved to tight end, and he stayed the extra season because he said, I want to develop, I want to learn, I want to get better.
Right.
He didn't get the process because, of course, it's not there. But, like, clearly he was like, I need to improve. I could go right now in the third round was his projection, but he said, I want to get better.
Yep.
And we need more players who are going to be better in the college game because it'll bring in more talent, bring in more everything, and you'll see a larger swath of players across the country with more talent everywhere. You're going to see talent at the Syracuses, at the Dukes, all these other schools, not just the big powerhouses, the 10, 15 best schools. You're going to see more like 20 to 25 schools all of a sudden have more talent, better quarterbacks, better receivers, better everything. And it's going to improve the college game. It's going to improve the player's life because they can get better. It's, as you said, there is no loser in that argument at all.
And again, with the new 105 player roster, you can leave some openings. And then after March 31st, you can then fill openings if need be. Let's take a guy that's on scholarship now that was a walk-on before, a Dominic DeLuca. You can go into a spring practice and you can get a couple of guys. Okay, we've got 4 guys we're not sure about, so I'm at 101. I think you can make it work, especially at 105 as opposed to 85. But that's something. But this isn't going to happen immediately because the NFL Players Association and the NFL have bigger
fish
to fry with the 18th game. The 18th game is
1A.
Is without question. The owners don't care about the draft issue.
Yeah,
they could care less. The draft is working great for them. We just pick guys. We go from there. We're not worried. Right. If they cared about the college game, if they cared about the college game, like cared about their feeder system, they would not have played 2 games on Saturday of the college football playoff opening round. Now, they're doing it because they need to play Christmas. So the 4 teams that are playing on Christmas are the ones playing on that Saturday. Okay?
Yeah. I don't know.
Right.
I know. It's ridiculous.
I mean, college had to work the semifinals to play one on a Thursday, one on a Friday, so they can go up against the NFL playoffs. Saturday is a regular season date. And if they cared about the college game, they would have said, hey, look, we got to figure out something different here. Maybe we'll have these teams play on Friday.
And they're trying to get these games to be every day of the week. And it's like, we want to have a game every day pretty much at this point.
Yeah.
Why? You already own everything money-wise, TV-wise. Why do you need another day to be yours?
They don't care. All the NFL cares about is the NFL. That's all they care about. And that's the part that just is so they don't understand that the reason they're in the spot they're in is because a lot of outstanding college coaches developed a lot of really darn good talent that ended up being in your league.
Yeah.
College football, okay, Caleb Williams, the difference between the first overall pick in the NFL draft and the first overall pick in the NBA draft is very few people in the United States know anything about the first overall pick in the NBA draft. They've never seen him play before.
No.
I don't even know. I mean, did he play in the summer league?
Reese Shea did.
All right.
He was okay.
But it's like, But nobody knows. I mean, really, essentially, the vast majority of the sporting population in this country does not know anything about
the common fan, which makes up the majority of the watching.
Guess what he didn't do?
Play in college.
He didn't play college basketball. But every sporting fan in the country knows the first overall pick in the NFL draft.
Heck, they know the 30th pick in the draft most times.
Exactly. They know the 4th round pick. All right? I mean, okay, what, New York Giants fans? Hey, I really like Theo Johnson at Penn State. I'm glad we got him. He's going to help us out, whatever. Now, Theo's struggling in camp right now. But
like that, the idea of you see these guys play on a constant basis. And if I'm the NFL, I am currently torching the ecosystem that is sports, not just college, but also affecting other sports in all of our heads.
Right.
When you think of holidays, I think every single Thanksgiving, I think of the NFL. They own Thanksgiving. That is their day. Yeah, we always see those games, always 3 to 4 games that are played on Thanksgiving, and it's so much fun because you turn the TV on, you eat food, you're doing all this stuff, you come over, you look at the scores of the games, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Then Christmas. That is always the NBA in my head. Not anymore.
The NBA's gone.
Which is ridiculous.
The NFL just looked at them and went, sorry, you are out.
Which just, it does not, it makes sense because they want money, but my God, like, you're just trying to torch everyone else now. And they don't care. Messes it up. And now they're playing these games on like the New Year's days. And I'm like, that's college football. That's what they own. Well, so let's not.
I will be fair about New Year's Day. Let's be fair about New Year's Day for a second. It has always been the tradition, always, that if New Year's Day was on a Sunday, that January 2nd, which is the holiday in the country anyway. So I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
None. Christmas, the NFL, I'm trying to think, it was a couple of years ago, they put Cleveland and Green Bay on Christmas Day. I think it was the only game they had on Christmas Day. And, of course, naturally, what did it do? It buried the NBA. Now, this is the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Now, the Green Bay Packers are the national brand. The Cleveland Browns, for years, have been, really? Right? I mean, if this were college, that'd be your homecoming game every year.
Yeah.
All right. And they've looked at that and they go, okay, now, and not only that, but they sold it to Netflix.
Which defeats the purpose of the Christmas, Thanksgiving-y Day games, is giving this to Netflix, because the whole point was you sit there, you're doing holiday stuff, and your TV is on. It's ridiculous.
They are the greediest group on the face of the earth. I mean, I look, I enjoy the NFL. No question. I've always enjoyed the NFL. Going back to when I was a little kid, I really enjoyed the NFL. But after a while, when you're not aware of the world around you and you're only aware of your world, okay? Now, if they want to go head-to-head with the NBA and bury him, then so be it. But when your feeder system, when you're playing a game on a day that you don't necessarily need to be playing on, you're going to go head-to-head with them? And then they claim it's a compromise. Look at the times we did the games that way. It's like, okay, I'm not buying. Now, the 18th game, that is their priorities right now. That's why the college draft, my point is, they don't care about the college football playoff or their feeder system, so they're not going to sit there and they're not going to look at the draft and go, hey, what can we do with the draft? They're not going to do that. Okay, because to them, it's the 18th game, boom or bust. And they wanted the 18th game. I remember when it was first proposed like 10, 12 years ago. Like 18. My first thought was, hey, everybody loves 18 games. And I kept thinking, it's a lot of wear and tear and beating people up. Well, they finally compromised and they got the 17th game. And you know what my perception of the 17th game became? When they got to like the 8th or 9th game of the season, I remember thinking, oh my God, we're only halfway through the season. Like the season's so long.
Yeah.
Well, now the season's so long.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want people to always be thinking, like, the NBA season is long. The NHL season is long. Major League Baseball season is long. What made the NFL season was like, okay, we got a certain amount of time. Here we go. And I think that was always a drawing card.
And something that was just a personal thing was I always enjoyed the fact that a team could end up 8-8. I loved there was just 500. Like, there was a line of demarcation. I don't know if it's just me, if it's one of those things, but I always enjoy that in sports leagues when you can end up the exact middle of the road. That way you know, okay, we are here. We got to now improve and get better. But now you can't do that. You can't go 500. People say, oh, they're 500. You can't end the season 500 anymore unless you go 9-8 and then lose a playoff game. Doesn't work like that.
Well, you can have a tie.
But that is what you have to get. A random thing has to happen to make this so you can go 500 now, where a few years ago, it was 500 was middle of the road, and you knew you had to improve. And it's just one of those things that I appreciated. And when it comes to the NFL, as we've discussed ad nauseum, it feels like the past few years, and I'm seeing it so much with fans right now, on social media especially, where they are pissed because there are too many places you have to go to watch games. And I get the whole, we're trying to make it so everyone can watch in every platform, every place. No one cares. We just want to watch our games. The reason everyone loved it for decades is because you knew it was CBS, it was Fox, and then ABC, ESPN sometimes, and ESPN for Monday Night Football. That was like, you knew where the games were every day, and you can kind of switch back and forth between two channels and bounce back and forth until the night game when it was Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football. You knew where the games were.
Right.
And now if I'm a fan of the Saints, I have to figure out, okay, is it on linear or is it on streaming? Is it blacked out for me on this one, or can I watch it here? And then also, do I have subscriptions to every single place? It costs so much money to get all of these things. And then I get to, watch for one game? I love Peacock for watching the soccer matches. It is a thing I enjoy because it means they're all in one place, and it helps me a lot. And some games are kept elsewhere, which I'm totally okay with. Sometimes I can watch Arsenal on Peacock. Sometimes they're on main TV, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
It is a very straight line of demarcation. Out of every 38, some are not.
One of the worst things that you can do in our business is to force people to find you. You have to make it as easy as possible to find your product.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, for example, I mean, with Playfly taking over, I mean, almost everything is staying the same. But, I mean, I'll be honest about it. I mean, Seven Mountains made a mistake out of the gate last year. They had the games on the bus, and the bus, our engineer put it on a delay. Well, you got 100,000 people in the stadium. A whole bunch of them are trying to listen to the game, and we're 9 seconds behind. So we had to make an adjustment to get a second station to carry it live. Again, forcing people to work to hear your product. People do not want to hear a delayed product. They want to hear the game live. They're sitting there. Sorry to point it out, but you guys did it. All right, so, and I told you not to do it. Okay? I mean, to be honest with you, I said, don't do that. All right?
But you got like every...
And I had to correct it.
Yeah.
And if they don't like it, tough. I mean, I'm just, just saying it the way it is. I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, but like, right? I mean, you can't make the audience work to find you.
Every time someone has to do one extra click, you lose 10% of the audience. That is what I've kind of been raised on, was if it takes one extra click for someone to find something, you're going to get one of every 10 people is going to say, you know what? I'm okay. I'm just going to go back to my social media streams.
Major League Baseball playoffs are all over the place.
I want to know they're on ABC and ESPN. I want to know like they're on the same 3 places. I don't need to jump around every other day to find where these games are. Like if I want to watch the Premier League, I know it's on Peacock, or if not, it's on USA or NBC. Very straightforward process. If I want to watch the Champions League for soccer, I know all of it is on Paramount Plus. Every single game. It is just go right there and watch them. They're all there. Every single match.
Well,
if I want to watch the MLB, I'm like, are the Yankees on Apple today? Are they on a normal platform? Are they on ESPN? Like, where are they? I got no idea.
The Apple thing has been... This is the mistake that everybody's making, and I mean everybody, including on the radio side. Okay? You've got to stop doing things for yourself. You need to do things for the audience. What makes it triangle? What makes it easiest for the audience to find you? Hey, so even something as simple as the formula used to be, and people got used to the formula. If you're in the AFC, your games are on CBS. When you played at home against an NFC team, the game was on Fox. Yeah. Or if you went on the road, it was still on CBS. Okay. Now they've changed it. Right? Now, out of nowhere, the Steelers can play the Browns and the game's on Fox. Okay. Again, you can't keep forcing the audience to try to find you. You can't. And it's not as if we're sitting here in an era of newspapers today. We're not sitting here in an era of newspapers where you sit there and go, oh, okay, well, let's see. Okay, so the game's on Fox. So it's right here.
That was something I remember every time I was with my papa visiting him down in Florida. We would sit there every Sunday morning. We'd look and see where the games are, and then we'd watch those games on those places, on those channels. You'd find out where a game was, where it was blacked out, where you could watch them. It was just always there every Sunday in the newspaper. That was what I grew up with. And nowadays, you have to say, well, where is the game today? What platform is it on? Like if I go and pull up right now, because I think you're going to enjoy this. If I pull up where yesterday's match between Leicester City and Tottenham was, it was on a multitude of platforms. If I pull up the upcoming games this week, I can see they're on 17 different platforms. It's on 18 different channels, of course, because of languages. Though that's whatever. But now I'm like, oh, is it on this or this or this or this or this or that or what? I got no clue.
Let's give credit where credit's due to ESPN, though. When you go to the top ribbon, they will tell you what channel the game is on.
Yes, which is
and even if it's not them, they'll tell you it's Fox, BTN, whatever it may be. To their credit, they do a very good job of telling you where the game is. That's where you find it. Because the old day of newspapers are going, gone.
And if I pull up right now the NCAA tab, I can see the FSU Georgia Tech game, ESPN. WCU versus NC State, ACC Network. Murray State versus Mizzou, SEC Network.
That's right.
I think that's Lincoln versus Kansas is ESPN Plus, and so on and so forth and down the line. I know, as you said, where the games are, what times they start in my time zone, and that is the other thing, is if you change time zones, ESPN changes exactly what time things is, which is like one of those small things that helps.
They do that, which is really good.
If I'm in West Virginia, I'm like, I don't know what time zone I'm in anymore. My brain breaks. If I'm in Chicago, I sometimes forget. Is it an hour ahead, an hour back? If you're flying somewhere, when the flight number changes, you're like, thank you. I can finally see when my flight is. Okay. I'm scared if I'm an hour early or late.
I travel so much, I pretty much know what time zone I'm in.
Must be nice, Steve. Must be nice. Some of us peons here don't know that because we don't think far enough ahead.
No, I know. But I already, look, I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think twice about it anymore. So
it's getting to be a lot.
But you can't force people to find something, and you can't do something because, we think it's best for us. Well, no, it's not what's best for us. It's what's best for the audience. Why do you think people complain? because it's not best for them. And they're not they're speaking for a lot of people. The Apple thing on Friday night, I know why they did it, because ESPN cut back. When ESPN cut back, they gave Major League Baseball less money. Major League Baseball made up for it to the dollar, by the way, by doing the Friday night thing with Apple, and nobody watches it.
I forget it's on Apple. Outside of the first year,
MLS is on Apple. Nobody watches it.
But at least that is one place. At least that's one place where the MLS is, and I'm okay with that.
But nobody watches it.
Yeah.
I mean, Apple does not have. Okay, I mean, that's why the Pac-12 thing was going to be for them was going to be like, you might as well have been in the witness protection program. Right? Who is this quarterback at Oregon State? I checked the milk carton. We figured it out. Like,
I forget what it was. I loaded up a streaming platform at some point this past weekend, and I was going to go watch something, and I saw a game was on, and I was like, that game is on here? I forget what it was and what game it was. I could not tell you, but I was like, I didn't know that game was on like this platform now on this day. It's like, you don't remember anymore. You just don't. There's so much going on, so many places. It hurts our minds. It's a lot.
The job of media. Okay. To start, just the basic beginning of media is to make it easy for the audience to find you, that you are identified with. The NBA is identified with ESPN. They're identified with TNT. They're about to be identified with NBC. NBC is a major network, so okay.
Yeah.
Now they're going to throw the Amazon thing in there. And because of the NFL, people will be used to the Amazon idea.
Yeah.
NBC is going to be doing a Sunday night NBA package following Sunday NFL. So they're making it, to their credit, easy to find. The NFL's all over the place, but they don't care. Right? They added in Netflix. Okay. Between ESPN and TNT, like the Stanley Cup playoffs, like you're trying to figure out what's what. Major League Baseball is TNT, it's Fox, a couple games at the beginning on ESPN. It's like, what the heck?
And you know which one has probably the most, it has always had the highest number of platforms, but has always made the most sense? For some reason, the NCAA tournament. It has always been on like 4 platforms. It's on 4 of them. The thing is, everyone knows that, and you already are prepared for it.
But everybody
make it work.
Everybody already has TNT and TBS linked anyway.
And that's the thing.
The only one that's different is True TV.
But the fact that they're on 4 platforms, and it's easy enough to bounce back and forth between them, and they make it really straightforward for everyone. They say, there's going to be a game here, and then a game here. They stagger it. And just follow the stagger the entire way through, and it's really easy for the first 2 rounds. And it makes everyone's lives so very easy to follow.
Well, and not only that, but by going to the 4 platforms, they improved what they were doing, because it used to be, well, the game in your area, well, that's not the game I want to watch. And let's do a live look in. It's like, oh, good, that's the game I want to see. Or you had to go to an establishment to see the other games on the satellites.
And
well, now, because of doing this, every game is live.
And you know what the best part of that entire thing is? Alongside them being on these 4 places and all live, there is also one hub for the NCAA where you can go to find every single game. Yeah. So as someone who, when I was in college or high school, I wanted to watch the NCAA tournaments, I would pull up that one platform and be able to pick the game I want to watch and be able to watch it there if I was paying a certain fee, or I got a 3-hour free trial or whatever it was. And I knew I can go there for every game, or I could be home on my TV, on my couch with my mother, and pull up the UMBC game. I knew exactly where I could go for everything, and there was a hub for it all.
Right.
It makes it so easy to do.
Yes.
And it baffles us that is not what every sport follows. How is it the NCAA is the one who's got this right? How is that possible, Steve? The one organization that we laugh at because they mess everything up all the time has this right over everyone else. It's crazy.
Well,
it's crazy.
Okay. Well, let's start with this. They got hooked in with CBS back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to stay with CBS.
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted extra money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what does TNT, TBS, let's go back to when this contract was put together years ago. What did they bring to the table? Cable subscriptions.
Mm-hmm.
Cable subscriptions allowed them to make up for the money that was needed, but it also allowed them to put every game on that you could see in its entirety, and everybody loved the option of doing it compared to what they had been doing before.
Yeah.
And that's why it ended up working. I think it's great we're able to see every playoff game. It's just you do have to find – baseball's the worst.
Mm. Oh, my God.
ESPN, FS1, Fox, TBS, like, okay, who's what? It's like, okay. Now, when you finally get to the championship series round, okay, one has the American League, the other one Fox has one, and TBS has the other,
which is fair, whatever. They're going to be there, and then one person has all of the finally.
But it's the leading up to it. You're like, what in the heck? It just takes too much work to sit there and go, where is it? And that's the worst thing you can do. Where is it? Okay, the fans that have the greatest complaints of all about Apple TV on Friday nights are the people watching the Yankees and the Mets, because they count on Yes and SNY to be there.
That's where I went every single day when I was living in Connecticut. I would turn on Yes at 6:35 p.m. to watch the Yankees play. They would start playing. I would eat dinner with my family. Then we'd turn on Jeopardy and watch that, but go back to the Yankees game afterwards. It was always the same place, same time, every day. You knew it was going to be there. Now you're like, I got no idea where the Yankees play today, and it is a struggle. And it is a pain.
Or like they're on Apple, and you just flat out don't have it. And when Aaron Judge was attempting to break Roger Maris's American League record, well, the Yankees on Yes were getting great ratings, and all of a sudden a key game down the stretch. I can't remember who they were playing.
It was the second to last game before he did it.
I
remember.
It was on Apple.
Yeah. Everyone's like, what are you doing?
And people are like,
There was questions of, can they flex this game to Prime TV? They asked that question, and then Apple said no.
Nope.
And more than fair for them to say no, by the way, because they signed a contract.
Well, they have a contract.
But like the fact that people expect now, how many Friday games do you think are played during the MLB season, do we think? How many Friday games are there during a season? Like
26.
26 of them? Okay. So 26 Friday games. Let's say 4 of them are Yankee games. If I'm a Yankees fan, I have to pay $40 hypothetically, because there's no way they're going to be in the same month.
Right.
I have to pay $40 to watch 4 Yankee games.
Right.
It's ridiculous. It's dumb. Like, it's extra money people don't want to spend.
No.
And
don't want to spend.
Like, I'll pay that if they're going to be there the entire time. If they're there the full season, like if I want to watch the Charlotte Hornets, which no one wants to, and if I know they're going to be on NBA TV every single game, cool, I'll pay that fee. I'll live with it because I know I can watch them night in, night out.
Yeah.
But if I have to, or maybe they play 81 games there and they have 1 game on TNT or whatever it is.
Right.
Okay, we can live with this. But as soon as you say in the NFL there's 17 games, 4 of them are on here, 4 of them are there, 6 of them are here, and then all of a sudden you got 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. I've got to work in 7 places.
I'll say this about the NFL, though. When they put out the schedule, they don't float it around.
No.
What college football does is a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
I'm a Penn State fan this season.
The 12,
where can I watch these games?
Right. I mean, there's only half the games. In fact, I think this time it's less than half that you already know the kickoffs for and what network has it.
I believe we only know 2 full kickoff games confirmed as of this moment. I believe
that's absurd. The entire schedule should be done now. Right? Now.
Yeah.
Right? And give, in November, the ability to flex 2 games.
Yeah.
Right?
The NFL does it sometimes, and I'm okay with that. They flex the Mondays and the Sunday nights. They can move one or the other, like once every 3 weeks they do it.
Right.
It's okay.
Well, but they don't do it until the end.
Yeah, they do it week 16, 17, 18.
Into November, you should be allowed to flex a game if you want to do it.
Yeah,
right?
I'm okay with
all
that.
the other kickoffs should be all set. Penn State fans should know the kickoff already of the USC game. Now, I have a pretty good idea what it's going to be, but but it should be done now.
And
Penn State fans should know what time the UCLA game is kicking off. Instead of a rumor as to what it's going to be, they should know what the Ohio State game is. To the rumor, the whiteout game should not just be a rumor. They should have all the kickoffs set ahead of time.
And you know what part of the problem is for fans? So often we find out 10 days in advance. You know what the problem is? 12 days in advance?
Yeah.
Find out 12 days in advance. You know what the issue is? People have booked their travel, and let's say they're flying in the morning of, and their flight doesn't land till 11:30, and all of a sudden 12 days out, they're like, kickoff's at noon. What does a fan do then? They've missed it because this is the only time they could get to go to this game is this time and this place, and they thought they'd make it because they were under the assumption it's night game or 4 o'clock. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's noon. Or they have to leave at 8 p.m. because they were expecting a noon game. Oh, it's 7. Tell us. Just tell us all of it.
At some point, the college basketball schedule for the Big Ten will be out. I think we should know the Big Ten schedule somewhere right around Labor Day. So we're close.
Yeah.
All right. So 10 days or so, maybe 12 days, we'll find out what that week what the Big Ten basketball schedule is. But at least you'll know ahead of time what it happens to be.
We know
and so
99% of the schedule.
Right. And the times don't change. There's like one game at the end of the year that's kind of a flex date game. That's fine. But everything else will be set that you at least know ahead of time for basketball in a 31-game schedule what time you're playing. The either-or game is going to be the second game of the Daytona tournament because it depends on whether you win or lose as to what time you play. But the fact
that is the only ones you don't know are 1 or 2 tournament games, I'm okay with that.
College football, you sit there. I complain about this all the time. You got to stop taking the fan in the stands for granted. You've got to stop taking the viewers for granted. You've got to go out of your way to make it as easy as possible for them to either attend or watch. And I don't understand why people can't get that concept. I don't get that. The game is nothing without the fans. It's nothing with all of you. Nothing. Okay? No you, no game. It's pretty simple.
I feel like we're going crazy, Steve.
No, I'm not. I mean,
it feels like it. The fact that we have to have this discussion and it seems nonsensical. We have to discuss it because it's something that should not have to be discussed. It should be a given. But
network TV executives are aching all the time about and bragging about their ratings, their numbers, their ratings, and yet do nothing to make it easy for people to see things these days because all they care about are how much they're paying, the fact they have the rights, and then they start like, okay, we got to move stuff around. It's like, wait a minute, what about the fan? Oh, yeah, no, they count. They are in the ratings. No.
It's infuriating.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape. From college football to European soccer, Steve and Kyle cover it all on